I have a beat button. I don't know if you can find it anymore.
It says I'm live.
Now I'm live.
Very good.
I'm not live.
Ah.
Do that.
And Duramax Country Boys here saying hello. Good evening.
All right.
Yeah.
Mine says unable to connect the chat.
Oh. It's okay.
I don't think I've gotten. Can one of you please download one of my videos, because I have 0 dislikes. That's a little bit concerning. I can only have like 1,000 views total. But...
So if everybody can go out to Exhausted Outdoors website or YouTube channel, since we're live, I mean, we don't know what kind of audience we're going to have. Well, anyway, thank you all for joining us tonight. We're live streaming simultaneously, so many of us here on the screen tonight are hosting on our own channels, and it's just a different way of doing things than usual. Usually we just pick a person, but tonight our guest is Tony, Atomic Z06. So Tony, you want to introduce yourself and tell us about your rides?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, I've been a long time Corvette fan. Have had, C4, 5, 6, and 7. And so the two behind me are the ones you see now. The orange one is Atomic Orange. That's where the name Atomic Z06 comes from. That one's a 2007 Z06 that's had a lot done to it. I could go through that if you guys want, but it's not like it was when I originally got it. And then the silver one in front of it's a C7, which is basically stock because I learned my lesson on doing a bunch of mods. So those are my two current Corvettes. And again, thanks for having me, guys.
No, it's great to have you. I mean, I'd personally like to hear, what are some of the mods that you've done? I know you've had some special work done in Texas on the Atomic one.
Yeah. The biggest mod to that one is it's got a Dallas Performance designed and built twin turbo kit on it. Sadly, the guy who really did that car for me, Taylor Sims, passed away about a year ago. He's the founder of Dallas Performance. The shop's still there. They do big turbo builds on a lot of cars. They really specialize in like Audi R8s and Huracans and stuff now. But back when I did that, he approached me on the Corvette forum. He bought a bunch of the APS, Air Power Systems hardware, and said, "Hey, you want me to do a build for you?" And he did it. Invited me in, showed me everything. He came up with some cool stuff like he's like, "Hey, I can put a boost gauge in your rear view mirror if you want. You'll just lose the compass." I'm like, "That sounds cool." Right? So now in the rear view, you see the boost. And that's one reason when the C7 came out, I love the C7. I'm like, "Oh, I can't trade in this car," right? So I convinced my wife to let me keep it, and I just got the C7. And aside from a few cosmetics, that one's bone stock, and I don't plan to do anything with that one because having one heavily modified car is enough. I have not a lot of problems with it. You do have to be careful with modified cars. It makes a lot of power, and it's got cosmetic stuff on the interior. It's basically a show car now, but I do drive it once in a while. You got to keep them moving on it.
And what kind of horsepower and torque you getting out of it now?
It makes 650 to the wheels, which is equates to like 760 something at the crank. And it's running low boost. I mean, it's a stock LS7, a 7-liter engine, didn't do anything to the internal, so it's only running like 6 pounds of boost. It makes so much power. Could it make a lot more than that? Yes. How long would it survive doing that? I don't know. But I've had it for like 6 years or so with that current setup at 6 pounds, and it's plenty of power, plenty of fun the way it is. So I just enjoy it. But when it's cold outside, you got to be careful.
Is it twin turbo or single?
Twin turbo.
Yeah, the thing with LSs and like all the Chevy V8s are nice until you put a lot of boost through it.
You don't want to put a lot of boost in the LS7.
Yeah, he did the Pro Charge on his C7 too. I guess it was a Stingray that he modded. I think it blew at like 17,000 miles. So.
Yeah, the LS7's got thin walls. It's not meant for boost. It's a great naturally aspirated engine. So
Yeah.
when you do add boost to them, you got to be careful. But
Well,
that's why we don't leave that too fast.
I thought the C6 Z06 came with a supercharger. Or am I wrong?
Nope, the C6 Z06 was came in manual only, and all naturally aspirated L7. The first ever supercharged Corvette is the one you see in front of it.
Yeah.
The C7 Z06.
How much does your C6
I'm sorry, I'm
weigh?
wrong on that. The first ever supercharged Corvette was the ZR1
ZR1.
06 generation. The first Z06 supercharged is the one.
Yeah. Isn't one of the things with the C6 Z06 how light it is as well?
Yeah. So when the C6 Z06 came out, I'll tell you that changed the game for me in Corvette. I've been a fan, but I remember the first time I saw the wide body 6th generation Z06 at the dealer, I was like, ah. But then you couldn't get them. Like they were selling for way over sticker, and part of the reason they were so popular was the horsepower to weight ratio on them back then in 06 when they came out was off the charts. I mean, they were in roll racing like all the exotic cars were getting killed by it, right? Because it made the 505 horsepower, high revving, and that's really what sparked the interest in them. Now, the horsepower wars have gone crazy, but back then, put yourself back in 06 with a 500 horsepower, barely 3,000 pound car. I mean, it was a lot to deal with. So it was fun back in those days.
Have you tracked either of your Z06s?
Yeah. So before when I was in Texas, every year we had a yearly event at Texas Motor Speedway. This club I was in, we'd take it over, and you could take it on the oval, but they kept you pretty tame on the oval. But they had an infield track that you could get out there and run pretty good on. So I did that every year. And the C7, I haven't had that one on the track, but I did have the fun of driving the identical car at Spring Mountain. I did the, when you buy one of those, Chevy subsidizes a 3-day adventure out to Vegas where you get to do that. And so that was a lot of fun. The wrap on those cars was the cooling. A lot of hardcore racers said they would have. But I mean, when I went out there, I drove the thing as hard as I could in like 90 plus degrees in Vegas, and it didn't have any issues. So I don't deny that some people had issues, but you must have to go pretty hard on them for a long time, my experience, before you start having it. But both of them are fun cars.
Yeah. So do you have any quarter mile times, like whether it's through a draggy or on the track or no?
I do not. Since I twin turboed, I have not had the orange one back on a time quarter mile. It wouldn't be a great quarter mile time car, I don't think. It takes a little bit for the boost to spin up, and unless you put really sticky tires on it, it's not going to hook. But the fun thing about that car, like the 60 to 130, I don't even know what it is, but it's fast. That's really where that car's from. In Mexico.
Yeah, of course. So, do you know much about the Camaros? Like with the same, like a ZL1 1LE, I should say.
Same engine as the T7 Z06 LT4.
But doesn't it have
great cars?
Yeah, doesn't it have a little bit more cooling though, which kind of bypassed the cooling issue?
Yeah, well, it came out. They did that one later, so they'd learned from what was going on with the Z06. Very, very capable car. To me, it might come. It's heavier, right? I mean, so if you were an experienced driver on the track, you're going to put down probably better times in the Corvette. But they're very, very, both very, very capable cars. Of course, you get the 2 additional seats in the Camaro for sure.
Which you can only fit like a 4 foot tall person, if that.
That's right.
Yeah. So
we know that.
The only reason I ask is because I'm for my next car, I was going back and forth between a Z06 or a ZL1 1LE.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go the 1LE because I know with the Z06, I'm gonna be like, oh, wide body kit, all this. Whereas the 1LE, I think I just do tires and an exhaust, and I'd be happy.
And you should be good. There's a frequent visitor to Hunt Valley Horsepower who's named Red Fury. It used to be Red Fury Z06. Now he's Red Fury ZL1 because he actually made the switch. He likes the Camaro better, but he did make the switch because he has a young child and he wanted to be able to put them back. But I think he would still tell you he likes the car a lot. So I would look him up on Instagram, shoot him a message if you're thinking of both. He could probably give you the owner's point of view from both sides.
Very cool.
That's Did they remove the seat in the 1LE version though, because it's the track focus with like the mag ride and all that?
I don't know. I don't know if they did it in all of them. I don't think he has a 1LE actually. He has just the Z01.
Because that's what I'm looking at. I'm hoping by the time I go to purchase one, I can get a used one for around like 49,000.
Yeah.
Because
You can get
same
a
thing
great
with
deal.
me. My BMW is modified. Also, it was in an accident when I bought it, and I mean my transmission now is having issues because the motor mounts were broken for so long. All the weight was on the trans mounts. Now that's having issues. My diffs are also messed up, or my the splines on all that. So yeah, same thing.
Cool. I just want to give one quick shout out. There was a person I follow. It's a nonprofit organization called Cars for Cause. So it's cars, the number 4, cause.org. And they said they'd be happy to check out the live stream as well tonight. And it's a great group of folks. And, of course, they're always trying to gain more donations for their cause. Everything that's donated to them goes out for medical purposes. So I don't know all the details because I'm not the expert, but I had quite a few conversations with those folks. So be happy to give them a shout out and a good support.
Yeah, I met him a couple of times, and the guy with the what's the supercharged the track hawk or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
at the cruises, and they put the stickers everywhere.
Yep.
That's great. They were at the Philly Auto Show as well.
Yes.
Yep.
So it was great to receive a DM from him today. All right, why don't we go around the horn? I want to talk about what we've done in the past week, because obviously we hold these as a weekly live stream, and be nice to find out what everybody's been up to. Why don't we start with Eric?
Hey, what's going on, guys, man? Checking in from the wonderful state of North Carolina, baby. And I'm rocking my new vet order shirt that I got from a YouTuber in Charlotte, man, called the New Vet Order. It might be in one of our chats, man. I have to check mine here in a second. But I'm still focused on getting the wrap, man. And it's been a slow but steady process due to world events. Some of the shops are moving a little slow with doing different things because of what's going on. But it's definitely on, and I pretty much already decided which wrap I'm gonna do, which is gonna stay under wraps. Y'all like that? Y'all like how I did that?
Come on, you gotta give us a sneak peek, something.
It's probably white underneath.
Well, it's custom. There you go.
It's white underneath because the car's white.
Yeah, it's gonna have white in it. No, I'm serious. I don't want my door jab to stick out on like a red wrap, and I got white door jabs that I didn't get done.
Right.
So I'm having white incorporated into the wrap so that the door jab won't be a problem.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's still on the table right now, man. And I said this earlier when we were talking, man. I've been talking to through Instagram and through comments and everything. Some of the big YouTubers, man, that I really have a lot of respect for. Tall Guy Car Reviews, Mr. Organic. Mr. Organic had a video where for the last 2 years, he's been talking about getting a rake, Rolls Royce rake, right?
Yes.
And he wasn't in a position to get it, and you would always see him go through different challenges of trying to get it, get denied, and all that. But he finally got it. But what's crazy? Today I was looking at some old videos, and I don't know if it was a coincidence or what, but 2 years ago, he and Tall Guy Car Reviews went to the local BMW in Minnesota, and they were test driving a BMW i8 Impulse World, the same one that I got, but it was a black model. And at that time, he wanted the i8. So to go from looking at the i8 as your top car to being in a position to buy a Rolls Royce in a 2-year time frame of growing his YouTube channel, all it did was motivate me to say, man, the world is mine, man. I'm going to have that Huracan. I'm going to go ahead and put it on record. I'm going to have my Lamborghini sooner than later.
We know it. You're going to have it. I know it. And you're going to go through Premier Financial Services in order to...
That was my next move. My main man, Pat, with, Premier Financial Services, man, they going to keep it straight, and I'm going to have my Lamborghini Huracan in no time, man. Y'all write that down.
Well, that sounds awesome. How about you, Soto? What's new in your world this week?
Well, I did the charge pipe this week. Put the video up. Next one, I'm doing I'm gonna do a paint correction with that Dr. Paint chip that you recommended.
Yep, Dr. Color Chip. Yep.
Oh, color chip.
Color chip.
Dr. Color chip. Sorry. And next one after that, I'm gonna do the dyno with the race chip, like we were talking about.
Who's
So,
gonna do your dyno?
I'm gonna use that place up in York that you gave me.
Castle.
I come, please.
So
Yeah, we'd like to go. If you're gonna be there, we could stay socially, distant, and still that'd be freaking cool. If you're gonna do it.
But yeah, if you guys want to come, I'll let you guys know. And
I kind of know the owner. You might remember me. I know Dan, who runs their social, and I'd love to hang out. I love
It's
the
gonna
shop.
pick up on the camera.
so
Buzzing.
you know their names, Dan,
Yes, Jim's the owner.
Jim.
Yeah, and they have
Alright.
a couple like tech guys. They have some guys who do paint correction and all that. And then Dan's the guy who runs the socials. So
By the time I want the Exhausted Outdoors / Pets Garage Online Premier financial discount.
they don't know me that well. I haven't worked with them yet. But when I do my custom tune, it's gonna be through them. So
So yeah, definitely going to go do the dyno, the video after the Dr. Color chip.
Good.
So
Hey, Jeff.
Definitely do the dyno after the color chip. You'll get.
what's up, everybody? I just want to get that. I just need to get it ready. It has so much road rash on it to get on my nerves.
Do you wanna?
Sure.
You talk. I will be right back. I have to go reset a dryer. Laundry day.
So this week, let's see. Pat finished cleaning. Do you want me to talk for you?
Yeah.
Okay. He finished. He took all the wheel wells and all the under panels off the i8 and cleaned them with scrubbing bubbles and he went over the top with it. Ceramic coated a bunch of the stuff underneath just to keep it clean and stuff like that with the extra Avalon King we had. You back already?
I just needed to.
Oh, okay. What else did you do? I don't know.
So yeah, I pretty much just took everything apart. I practiced. So I have this degreaser. It's made by CRC, and you can buy it at the parts store, and it's biodegradable. And the first time I used it, it smelled exactly like scrubbing bubbles that I use to clean the bathroom. So I decided to take the scrubbing bubbles and clean the car with it, and I was getting the aluminum that's part of the undercarriage and part of the suspension was so clean that I was blown away by it. And I know I've seen scrubbing bubbles being used before. JR Garage typically uses it when they buy they bid on a car that's
Like an
a salvage,
auction, yeah.
and they hit everything under the hood with it. So I really cleaned the car. The car is between us doing the paint correction and ceramic coating, and then I just spent the past week letting the ceramic coating cure and just hit it with that scrubbing bubbles. It looked really good, and it felt really hard to drive it today. And we put quite a few hours on it because it was so clean. It's like, oh man, I'm getting bugs and rocks, and I'm following these guys with doing 120 mile an hour down the interstate and
In Mexico.
kicking up all kinds of rocks, and yeah, 18 miles a gallon out of an I-8. So yeah, that was challenging.
Man.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Pat.
Huh?
How was the drive today?
The drive was excellent. I mean, there weren't a lot of people on the roads. In fact, people on the interstates are typically doing 80 to 90 mile an hour. Traffic is.
Just general flow traffic. If you haven't driven a whole ton, because I've still been driving throughout quarantine for work and stuff. I mean, it's, you see the Facebook post where they're joking saying, just so you know, the speed limit is now 90 miles per hour. Don't mess this up for everybody else. It's the truth. You're going down 70 and that's already, 70 miles per hour. And I mean, in the slow lane, you have people doing 85, 90.
But when you're behind,
Be back out, I guess.
yeah. When you're behind a Ford GT and an Aventador SVJ doing $140, and you start going over 120 and you're hitting the bounces on the, it's like, I'll let them go. They're gonna hit traffic and I'll catch up, which happened the whole way home. So yeah, that was quite interesting. But yeah, that's what happened this
Also
week.
hard, Pat.
We'll
When you're
see.
behind that Ford GT, let alone the SVJ, your ears turn off to everything else around you.
Yeah.
So the whole speed thing is like your mind doesn't know how to absorb what your hearing is presenting to you, and then you're like, well, is he actually going that fast, or do I think he's going that fast? Let me turn my radio down. No, he's going that fast, and his car is that loud. I should back down.
And I'll
It's
admit,
all, like,
and I'll admit that hearing that car for the first time in person, it felt like somebody was taking a pick and going like this against my eardrums every time it hit the rev limiter. Yeah, his GT, I'd never experienced that before in my life, and I got to tell you that was like,
It's not
what
that,
is happening?
it's-
That's what happened to me.
Yeah,
you know.
I'd say it's not when.
But I don't want to hog the. We were going around the horn talking about what we did this past week, so I don't want to hog the whole chat right now with that. So, do we want to pick up?
With the cops.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll talk about that. Let's go around the horn first. We'll come back to this.
All right.
Do we want we got Dan, Tony, and Jeff yet that still got to speak. You want to go last? Okay. And Tony did a bunch of talking in the beginning. Jeff, do you want to talk about what you did this week? Anything car related?
Yeah, I'll jump in quick. As I mentioned last week, I finally bit the bullet, bought myself a pressure washer, bought myself a foam cannon, got the My Chemical Guys pink stuff, and lo and behold, the aftermarket foam cannon that I purchased does not mate up with my pressure washer connections. I was scouring Amazon and eBay and pipe stores trying to find all the inner bits and pieces and connections. And what I came to realize is my $25 aftermarket third-party foam cannon plus accessories, if I could find them to mate up with the original wand, was a lot more headache and hassle than just buying the $16, which I didn't know about, factory Sunjo foam cannon.
Wow.
So while I'm waiting for this new part to show up, I have to take the old one back to Amazon, get that credited, and so I'm waiting. The only good thing about that wait taking place is I'm also waiting for the O-rings to show up. So far, Sunjo as a company has been very good at handling warranty problems, but also 4 weeks after ownership is a little bit early to be filing a warranty claim. But I'm waiting for those parts to show up. Once that does get put together, I will be doing a full blast on the car. And I spent, I don't know, the best part of 12 hours today on my porch not doing anything. And I was watching my neighbor run his power washer foam cannon setup. And I looked at him doing it. I'm like, wait a second, this is a great idea. So coming up next week or the week after is we're going to do a painter's tape down my car and do Harbor Freight Turtle Wax on one side, Sunjo Chemical Guys on the other side, and see what the difference looks like. So it wasn't what I did this past week. It's kind of, I did a lot of prep work and getting the pieces in play. I, like Rebecca, I'm still going to work, so my days have been filled with non-car related activities. But that's all going to change. We'll have car stuff coming up, hopefully for next week or the week after.
Good. And Tony? What have you been doing this week, Tony?
Yeah, the weather finally got to where I was able to get both cars out and get them clean. Speaking of foam cannons, I plan to do a video on this. I just went like low budget and bought like this Works WRX like hydro shot setup for like $110 all in, and believe it or not, like it worked. Like it's a battery powered little power washer thing. It's got a small foam cannon container. I have a recent video on where I actually use it. I don't go into details on how it works, but if you're looking for something really simple, easy, cheap to get started with that, you might want to check something like that out. So I finally got that out, got both cars cleaned up, but now I'm like that. I'm like afraid to get out there and start driving them now because I finally got them dusted off and cleaned up.
Do you have other Works branded items, or that was your first Works product?
That was the first one.
Okay. But it's been great for you today.
for what it is. I mean, it comes with the wand, it comes with the foam canning container, it comes with a brush you can use on tires. I mean, for what it is, for $100 and something to get all that, yeah, it's been worth it. Now, is it heavy duty? Is it something you'd use like every other day on a bunch of cars? Probably not. But for the occasional wash for that amount of money, I've been happy with it so far. But it's certainly not a top of the line kind of setup, but serviceable.
Any interior?
What's your battery life like?
Pretty good. It'll get you through a car. I did get a second battery just in case, because if you do more than one vehicle or you need to go hard on the wheels or something, you'll need a second battery. So I would recommend getting 2 batteries.
Eric had a question.
In the chat.
Go ahead.
Question in the chat was, I guess it's to Tony or anyone else. Any ideas on interior deep cleaning? Like, what are you guys using for interior cleaning?
I can go. For leather, I highly recommend using Lexol, Lexol. So they have a conditioner and a kind of cleaner, and that's what we use on our saddles. Because I'm a horse girl, I ride in a $6,000 saddle, like French leather saddle. So out of all the things I know how to take care of leather. And don't use that crappy stuff that has like wax coatings in it. Don't use that. The Lexol is pH balanced, so you can, it's great for a quick wipe down, but if you also want to like really scrub, you're not gonna damage your leather. And then the conditioner doesn't leave it like, you don't get that waxy kind of residue that you get with a lot of the cheap cleaners. And I mean, it's fairly inexpensive.
And they have it at the parts store.
They have it at the parts store, or you can order it online. They actually have like spray bottles of it. And I don't know if there's a difference between the saddle stuff and the car stuff. I don't think there is, but I know I've used the saddle cleaning stuff. That's what I'm more comfortable with. I've used that in all of our vehicles, and it's worked really well.
It has. I like it. It smells good, and it does a great job.
The biggest thing is being pH balanced, because
Yeah.
that will, if it's not pH balanced, that's where you get in trouble with leather.
Good stuff. Tony, what about you?
I've used sprayable leather from Chemical Guys. I don't know how it compares to Lexol. I've had fine results with it, but it sounds like, Rebecca, what you're using is probably, even better, than that. The other thing, I would just say be careful with things with a lot of silicone on the inside, especially, it may look good at first, but that stuff tends to accumulate. So I've learned some hard lessons over the years on this that stuff. So I definitely would, be selective on what you use in the interior, like, i.e., maybe not Armor All.
Yeah, Soto had the Chemical Guys there, right, Soto?
Yeah, so I use the Chemical Guys leather cleaner. Basically, you get this, there we go. The horsehair brush with the cleaner. Then I usually go back with the conditioner. I'm out of the conditioner, but after the conditioner, I use the protectant over top. But I do also have
Lexol.
I actually went down and met Bill down at Detail Garage, and it was like a Toys R Us for chemical guys. I loved it, man. We're gonna go back. We're supposed to go back this week. We're gonna do a YouTube video there as well. Just to give them a shout out.
We got to go to down too.
Yeah.
Are they back open now?
They're open, but you can't. They got cones set up. You can't browse. You just tell Bill or one of the guys what you want, and they'll go get it for you. But we were hoping they were going to open up this week. Well, Friday, we were hoping they were going to open up. But Baltimore County and Baltimore City is not open.
Thanks for you.
So as soon as they do get open, we're going to go back and I only bought a couple products because I want to do a whole shopping spree when we go back for a YouTube video. Get a polisher, all the chemicals that I want. But I did pick up another bottle of leather cleaner because I was out, and a new brush because my old one's getting dull there. But if you live in Maryland, they're Middle River, detail garage right in Middle River. If you love chemical guys, it's like a Toys R Us for us.
It is. It's nice. They
Awesome
used to
guy.
have like a Cars and Coffee, and I would go out. They would do it on like a Sunday or something.
Yeah, Sunday morning.
She also had something for the Around the Horn.
Yeah, this weekend I was able to, or this week I guess, kicking around the ideas of blacking out my grill, which has like been a long-term, thing I've talked about. But then, kind of like how the GLIs, the Jettas have that accent stripe, doing that, in like a different color. So whether it's like the gloss, like Savage Orange, or I'm kind of kicking around like a blue color because that's my favorite color, and doing blue accents all around like the little SEL badge, the back, that sort of thing, and just blacking out all the chrome on my Jetta because it just looks,
So to chime in there, Rebecca, just to not to take away, but just to mentally prepare yourself. Part of my 12 hours of enjoying my Sabbath and not doing much was watching everybody around me do all of their busy work. And my neighbor has, 15, 16 Volvo S60 and has a lot of bright work on. And last week he did a purple vinyl on the wheels. And today's project was doing all of the chrome on the vehicle to match that purple.
Wow.
So there's a lot of maneuvering around the door sills. There's a full circle around the windows, and then I think 4 or 5 stripes on the front. So again, fairly simple pattern layment. He was then like, "Oh, this wasn't so bad." Mind you, it took him 6 hours to do all these parts. He then decided, okay, I'm going to try to do the lettering on the back, and the lettering takes so much more intricate detailing that, and then again, I think Pat may have a Cricut, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
But if you do have a Cricut, the best thing to do is find the font of the lettering for your vehicle and size it up, not 100%, but run it at 125, put it on, and that way you have room to stretch over the sides.
That's neat.
For
That's a
those
good
who don't
idea.
know what that is, those are vinyl cutters you're
Yep,
talking about, right?
that's right.
Yeah, and they're relatively cheap. They run off your phone. I think the new ones even on the computer.
Yeah.
But just as like something to prep yourself for, Rebecca, again, straight lines, curves, fairly simple. Anytime you get into lettering, badging, and contours, then you're going to have a lot of heartache. Even Dan doing his roof, I think we had some foul language involved. So,
A little bit.
putting that in perspective.
And Duramax Country Boy said he thought you were going to go pink.
No.
All right.
Pink is not a good color.
Let's go to Dan. What you do this week, Dan? You must have been very busy.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, you weren't
last
here
week,
this past week.
Actually, were you there, Jeff, at the Lancaster Cars and Coffee? The 350 cars, the King of Prussia?
No, that was a Saturday event. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That was fun. Everyone basically was like, we've been cooped up for too long, so yeah, we got like 300, I think, cars. We ride from Lidditz all the way to King of Prussia. Then my group split off, went to my buddy's house in New Holland, then went to my house. And the reason I missed the last stream was because of, let me do this.
Yeah.
That is my buddy's Audi A3 in my field doing donuts.
Oh,
Cover
nice.
up the middle fingers.
So, he thinks it's a farm truck?
What?
He thinks it's a farm truck?
No, we just thought it'd be a good idea to have fun. We did that. We jumped the 4-wheelers, and his car was making a ticking sound for a little bit. And after the field donuts and all the pictures we did, my camera was not like.
Probably all the stones falling out of it.
No, the AC compressor pump seized, and the pulley was just free spinning, sending metal everywhere.
Oh.
Ripping apart the belt.
Oh.
So I had to wait for a tow truck. We had to get it up on the tow truck. The tow truck battery stopped working for the trailer. So I had to get my truck out, jump that, get it going, and by the time we were done, it was like 9:30.
So, if you have to use your truck to jumpstart the tow truck, do you get like an extra month or 2 on your AAA?
Do I get what? You lagged out.
Like a free month or 2 on your AAA?
No, it wasn't AAA. It was a buddy we called around like everywhere. It was our buddy in New Holland, his parents, like pneumatic trailer, you can tip it and all that. So they had brought in the battery, and that was dead. So yeah, it was a mess, but it was also fun, and I was glad to get out of the house again because I've been cooped in here and hate it. And then just a lot of work, and today I detailed 4 cars, and then in my water room in my house, a pipe burst, so we had sewer water / dirty drain water from our garage and all that going everywhere, and I was cleaning that.
Oh.
Yeah. Horrible. About like 3 inches of water, and that's with the drain running.
Oh God.
Yeah. So that's been life recently. Also, next weekend, I'm hoping to do my trans mounts, get that fixed finally, as well as fluid flushes in my diff and my transmission, and depending on that, how that goes, depends on whether I spend $3,000 rebuilding my transmission or not. So, fingers crossed.
Now, do you use jack stands when you work on your car? Do you have some type of lift?
Yes.
Okay.
I am trying to get a 2-post lift in our garage because we have 14-foot ceilings, I think. So we can easily fit one. It's just a matter of finding $4,000. So.
Right.
And if I'm going to be spending $3,000 on a transmission plus another $4,000 on a lift, yeah, not fun.
No.
Then I can't get my ZL1 in a couple of years.
That's right. Yep.
But yeah. Thick, Mr. Thick. You were talking about doing your roof sometime, right?
Yes. You gonna help me?
So yes. So I have an idea. You were talking about going to Castle in York. When were you planning on doing that?
I don't have a date set yet. But
I live half an hour away. I have 2 garages, a 3-car garage and a 3.5. Well, a 2-car garage that you can fit 3 cars in, and then a 3-car garage you can fit 5 cars in.
Wow.
Who measured these garages?
I'm not trying to flex. We just may or may not have a bunch of broken cars right now. My truck is up on jack stands. My car is on jack stands.
I don't want to jinx I don't want you to jinx me.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, man. My garage is the curb outside that is right by the storm drain. I get like a lift like that. If I pull up on the grass, I can maybe slide under for a quick power wash.
No, drain the oil.
Yeah.
This guy's got like a 17-car garage space over here.
How confident are you with doing the fin?
What I would do, buy a carbon fiber one for $15. I can get you a link. Actually, what I am doing right now is I'm leaving the cap off because I like the contrast between the white fin and the black roof. But you can change your mind later. The scariest part, though, is cutting. My camera focus is really bugging me. But the scariest part is trying to cut all the glue around the fin because I kind of scratched underneath there. I don't know if you care or not. No one's going to see it.
You have a sunroof?
Yes. That was actually easy. You just kind of cut it out and you heat it up and tuck it underneath. So maybe if you want to go, I live like 40 minutes away from York, so maybe if you want to go there.
You have the vinyl on your sunroof, or do you cut the glass out?
I cut the glass out. But you open the sunroof and you just tuck it underneath, and when the sunroof closes, it seals everything. So.
You took your rails off too, right?
Yes, that was easy. You clean in there with isopropyl. And I have, if you want even more help, I have a buddy who helped. He wrapped his entire El Camino matte gray, and he did such a good job. I thought it was paint. So
wow.
If you want him to help, he can probably help us.
Huh.
So it's up to you. Or I can go down to Maryland because I'll be down there sometime anyway.
We'll set it up.
So.
Yeah.
Still there.
Think about doing carbon fiber wrap now.
Carbon fiber is a little tricky. You can hide a lot of your fingers, they call it. It's like little seams in the vinyl, but air bubbles you'll see a lot more. And you got to be careful too because I don't think you can use too much heat on it because, are you going gloss or dry carbon?
I was gonna do gloss.
Okay, then you're good because if you add heat to a matte vinyl, the heat really helps out a lot, but you'll end up making it look gloss. So.
Yeah, we'll set that up. It's gonna be a lot cheaper than paying A+.
Oh yeah.
$350.
Woo! $350 to wrap a roof?
Just the roof.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What are wraps going for in North Carolina? Because we pay a lot of money for that up here.
Well, I mean, the custom job that I'm looking at, I mean, I'm thinking that it's going to be around 5, 6.
So up here, I was quoted if I wanted to do um, a chrome wrap on an i8, I was told that it's going to cost $12,000 to $13,000.
Yeah, I can believe that. It's a real dope shop in Vegas.
Well, the chrome wrap is probably expensive, but I know regular wrap to wrap my whole car was 4,000 with regular, a solid color.
Okay.
See, I'm stupid and I want to go to a shop, even though I did it and it kind of did an job, but I mean, it's my first time. I want to go to a shop specifically in Shane Designs because I'm not like Jeff. I don't know the guys there, and I figured I'd have an in if I were to, get them to do something. And then I can park at their booths if Street Speed ever does his events again. They'll have the little in Shane Design stickers, so I'll be good to go.
So on that note, Dan, and this one again, Tony's a GM guy. I'm a Volvo guy. Everybody else is in the BMW import scene, and I don't think Shane has much presence in that world. So, if you were to do something, again, this is not me speaking for Shane. I just show up unexpectedly and meander around the shop like a lost puppy. Like, it's not as big as you present it to be. But, if you were to go in and be part of the In Shane's project team, then you can say, hey, Shane, Carlisle Imports is coming up. My car is going to be there. You guys want to have a display set up also, and there are ways around it. It's all how you present it out that way. So I wouldn't just say like, oh, because I'm having Shane do my fenders, I'm now part of the In Shane.
I was kind of joking about that, but it'd be nice. I've met him a couple times at events.
There's nothing. They do not so much in the BMW space.
The closest I know some people have gotten work done by them. Obviously, Mike, Rusty Zipper. I know Brian, Merkvet.
Oh my God, his car is gorgeous.
I love it. And I know him through the rallies, and actually Shane and who else was it? I guess his girlfriend in another car, and Brian. They went on one of our rallies. That was cool. They kind of led the pack. But that's like the closest I've got to that group. I think it'd be cool to kind of expand to that. I mean, I'm not just looking for like the free clout, but like I think it'd be cool to work with them. They do a really good job of like all their work. That'd be cool to.
And on that note, I'd be very interested. You just did your roof. Soda's looking at doing the car. E-Vapor's doing the car, and Pat's like dabbled in it. In like the thought of maybe doing it. I'd be very curious if you and Thick got together, or you Thick and Pat, whoever got together and said, we as the regular guys with Pat as our lead mechanic got together as the amateurs, did a full wrap, and then ran out to Shane. And again, scheduling this with Shane and saying, hey, buddy, we're a bunch of amateurs. We'd like you as the professional to go through our car, front to back, left to right, top to bottom, and compare, like, you did this well, this sucks, this I wouldn't even think about doing, to see what it's actually like for what you're paying for. Everybody's like, oh, I can do it cheaper, I can do it cheaper. Yeah, you can, but at what cost?
Yeah. It's it's labor intensive. I'm not going to, it's not easy. I mean, all that dismantling of, your door handles, your side markers, it's a lot of prep work.
The car has a lot of sexy curves on it, too. It's not an old, Chevy Impala where it's just a bubble where you thermoform it around. There's crevices, there's tucks, there's spaces.
Yeah.
I thought the roof would be easy, but it has like little divots in the back and it curves, and I mean I have wrinkles in the back, and I have a hole that I filled in with Sharpie. So.
Go to Mako and get a $350 paint job, do the whole car.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know.
They don't take your door handles off and they'll spray your wheels.
Hey, E-Vapor's got some questions on his page he'd like to ask.
Yeah. If y'all don't mind, I hate to interrupt. No, I'm just messing with y'all. You know how I do, man. I like to bring a little bit of sarcasm with it. But the question for Atomic Z06, man, we got people asking, what year are your vets, and do you want the C8?
So the two vets, the first one, the Atomic Orange one, is a 2007. The Blade Silver C7 is a 2016. Do I want the C8? Yes. I'm probably, though, going to now wait for the C8 Z06 for a couple of reasons. One, you know, I actually had an order in with Griswold, got in early as soon as the C8 was released. And a couple things with the whole pandemic crisis and all of the uncertainty that threw into the whole world and I said, hold on, let me think about this. So I was already thinking about it, and then someone said it, flat plane crank. When I started seeing the videos and hearing more rumors about the Z06, I was like, oh, like,
And you can't knock it.
I think I'm gonna wait for that one. So I had Griswold shift my deposit over to get near the front of the Z06 pile. And so I had my C8 Stingray all spec'd out, though. I was going to go with the bronze color and all this stuff, but yeah, I'm now officially on the C8 Z06 watch list. So but I do want one for sure.
Are you going to keep the other two vets?
Say again?
There were two questions.
Are your current cars automatics?
So the C6 Z06 was only available in manual, so that's a 6-speed manual.
It's a manual, yeah.
And the C7, I got the auto mainly because I already had a manual Z06. And I tell you what, I like the 8-speed auto. I don't know. I mean, I like it, but if I were going to get a C8 Z06, I mean, you have no choice now, right? Yeah. Dual clutch, one transmission, and so I'll go with that.
Dan,
so, I was just asking, are you going to keep the other vets, or what's your plan with that?
No, the C7 will go.
How about this? Let's set up with all, 27 of our viewers. Let's set up a GoFundMe, and we're going to get you a C8. We're going to get you a C4, C3, and then the original.
Okay. GoFundYourself.com.
Yeah. I'll give you a $1. But that would be cool.
Would you do one of the custom bins to get an early build, or you don't care about timing?
I don't think I care that much about timing, but we'll see how the thing looks. I mean, if I can get a chance to really get up there and get an early one, I may do it, but it depends on a lot of factors by then. I mean, it's a lot. Yeah, I can't remember how much, but it's pretty pricey for the custom bin. Yeah.
You a Carlisle guy or no?
I am. Yeah, I've been there. Well, I was in Texas until 2018, but since I moved up here, I've been going to Carlisle. Fortunately for me, the orange car actually got picked for the Chips Choice display last year, where they were taking applications for custom vets. So it got stored inside, Building T there or something the whole week, which was fun. Yeah, but I really hope we have it this year. I guess it's still a little bit up in the air. I have to imagine, though, knock on wood, that by mid-late August, hopefully they'll be approving outdoor, big gatherings like that. Be a shame not to have that show.
What was that?
Where are you based out of, Tony?
Now I'm in Howard County, Maryland, not too far outside of Baltimore.
Okay. Are you near Bel Air?
Not too far from Bel Air, a little bit up 95.
Tony's probably closer to me than he is Soto.
Yeah.
I think we should do a meetup at Carlisle, because I love that event. A lot of people will be there. I think that would be cool.
I'm planning to be there. Got my hotel room, everything. I'm hoping we pull it off.
I'll just drive in every day.
Are you close?
Hour and a half. Depends on the traffic.
I've already confirmed my media credentials, so I'm ready. Every event.
Nice.
Good. Very good. Yeah, because I know, Jeff, you put up a lot of content with different cars, and even the quality of your videos is outstanding. If you want to see some really cool cars, you do a great job on that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
And then there's my video where I pretend to be an old man and critique the C8.
Now,
wrong when they switched the tail lights.
My My first Corvettes at Carlisle was in 1994, and yeah, I got the I got the pass. I got the sticker, and I drove on the field with my '78 Vet. So that was my first. The only thing I still hate it is the heat. I don't tolerate the heat very well, and that's the one bad thing about August. It hasn't changed. Every August at Carlisle is by the end of the day, it's grueling.
I spent 12 years in Texas. It's mildly warm for me.
Yeah.
What was your question, Jeff?
No, that's a question. You've got people that'll come in from, all the middle of nowhere, and they're there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they're not leaving until, the last car out. And regardless of what the weather looks like, feels like, sounds like, the true diehard grumpy butts in their jean shorts and New Balances. But they're there the whole time.
The New Balances.
That's actually what I was wearing.
Up in there, like, have you guys ever watched Obsessed Garage?
Yes.
Matt Mormon.
Yeah, I've only seen like a couple of his videos, but he just sold his C7 Corvette, and he did like a exiting the Corvette experience video, and he was going off about the typical Corvette owner with the New Balances. I'm like, where's he getting that from? Like, I don't know. Apparently that's a thing.
He got it from Dan.
If you spend time in Carlisle looking at the attendees and not at the cars, you'll notice it.
That was my entire video. Like, I literally was just panning at people's socks, and people were looking at me like, what? But Mike, Rusty Zipper, throughout the entire event would just text me photos of, like, some dude had Corvette socks that went up all the way up to his knees. And it was hilarious. And here I am wearing the polo tucked in, showing my beer belly, with the long socks and the New Balances. And I wasn't even the most extreme person there.
And is that a man purse you have on?
No, that's actually my camera bag.
It's a satchel.
Kind of fit. Yeah, I figured it kind of fit like the what's that thing you put across your stomach? That
Fanny pack.
Fanny pack, yeah.
Fanny pack. Your satchel.
Yeah. Were there any other questions for Tony that came up?
Yeah. Yes, it's another question for Tony. When you get your C8, will you have 3 vets at the same time? If not, which one are you going to donate?
Donate.
The C7 will get traded. The C6 is too heavily modified. I kind of decided that's a keeper. But that's one of the reasons I kept the C7 stock, was so when the C8 came out, I could trade it. Part of the issue for me, I don't know, you modify a car, you do so much work on it, almost becomes part of you, which is why I had such a hard time with the move to C7. So I don't want to put myself in that position again.
Yeah.
Okay. My car has so much part of me in it, like, my blood and sweat and literal tears and everything else. Yeah, it's a part of me.
It's not just that it's a part of you, emotionally. It's also one of those, like, you built that car based on what you wanted it to do and how much money you felt was reasonable putting into it, and you'll never get that back.
Pennies on the dollar.
Like,
I mean, I wanted mine to not break all the time, but here we are.
I'll give you about $350 for it. Got about $350 line.
So, Tony, have you driven a C8 yet?
I've not driven one. I've sat in them and all that stuff like at Carlisle, but I have not had one on the road yet.
I know from the I8 community that I visit the forums. A lot of folks on the I8 community have said that they want more performance, obviously, because it's really not. It wasn't designed as a performance car, honestly, more of an efficient car. But a lot of them are looking at the C8 platform because they do want the mid-engine, and they're very happy with the value. So that's one thing. I was at a car event today, and Italian Stallion 410 on Instagram, he brought his C8 out in white, and it was the first time I really took my time and looked at the car a little bit more than I did at the pre-production ones up in Carlisle because, of course, we could spend time sitting in them and looking at them. But I spent like a little bit more time with the car because I didn't have crowds of people shuffling around, and it just felt like the engine was so small. If you look at that big trunk and you look at the sides, and the engine just looks so small there in the middle. It's kind of it's almost an optical illusion. I mean, there's a big engine there, but of course you can only see
6.2 liter.
Yeah, it's a big engine, but it just looks so small from the top. It was kind of interesting to see that. And I've been following. I've been waiting now. I've been talking with Justin from Horsepower Obsessed because he has one on order, and yeah, he's hoping to get his by June, and it'll be, obviously, then it'll be somebody that another YouTuber that we know, and that's fairly local in Pennsylvania, and be able to provide, a little bit more of, the what I consider the normal guy, just owning a car, and it's not like
And to me, like Justin, like a true Corvette like enthusiast has
Yes.
one. I mean, the C8's been so popular, and I actually recorded a video on this topic. I haven't posted it yet, but there's so many of the big time YouTubers who got in and they're getting them first. But the thing I have with that is like a lot of them aren't even real Corvette like enthusiasts. They
Right.
just knew the right people or were willing to spend enough money to get them first so they could get the views. Nothing against them. Like TJ Hunt, like he got one really early, drove it across the country, got a ton of views, but now he's back to his Nissan, his Supras and stuff. So I'm really waiting for when people like Justin and others get them who have a lot of history on the platform and see what they think. That'll really be, I think, really really cool to see.
And my biggest thing too with watching like YouTubers like that, I mean, the same thing with the Supra. The Supra is practically a BMW, and like I know what it is. Yeah, it is a BMW. But there's that, but their version of fast is almost skewed in a way because they have a Lamborghini Huracan or like a 1200 horsepower ZR1 or like a drag car, whatever, Aventador. So it's almost like getting that guy, and that's like their first big car, or maybe they grew up like with older cars like Pat with the Corvette. It kind of gives a more realistic view of what the car can actually do. I mean, yes, they might not know how to push it to the exact limits, but you kind of get like a better view of this is fast, but not compared to like a Aventador type deal. So,
Well, even Stradman,
The other thing that
he beat his Aventador. He drove the C8 and on a track,
Beat the time.
and he beat the time of the Aventador. I mean, there's something about its build that.
But that might be a personal driving thing because think about it, it's a hell of a lot easier to feel like you can push a C8 because like in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot easier to fix, a lot cheaper to fix. You push your Aventador and you lose it on the track.
Possible,
That's
yeah.
a bigger price tag to fix it.
The other thing too is his was an early Aventador, so and it's just a stock. It's not an S, it's not an SV, not an SVJ. So but it's a stock Corvette. But at the same time, I think this is a 2012 compared to a 2020 Corvette. So the technology has improved, and Corvettes build upon a lot of other manufacturers' technology.
Yeah. The other thing to bring into play there as well, and yes, I do agree with the guys buying the first C8s to get a lot of those early views because they're the first ones to have it. But looking at TJ Hunt for example, he bought the car and went straight to either Corsa or Borla or one of the Magnaflow. He now has a partnership with Magnaflow, and it's like not that they would not have had access to a pre-production or production to get things moving, but it also gives them some exposure for guys like you in the Corvette world to see like here's how they do a custom build, here's what you can get out of it. You and I are Carlisle guys. You drive up, you pull up to the A&A booth, you pick out one of 7 exhausts and they put it on, but that's really the only experience you get. So seeing the process that goes behind it can help you say like, oh, the Borla guys do this and the Magnaflow guys do that. I kind of like their approach better. So it's also putting the manufacturers in the front line as well a little bit, which I thought was kind of cool.
Speaking of exhaust,
No, it's great they do it.
Yeah. Speaking of exhaust, on your C7, you have any like? I know you said it's pretty much stock, so like no Corvette intake or any exhaust, anything.
Bone stock.
Wow. Because my whole view is some of my friends, they had like there's me. I tuned my car. It's less reliable. I mean, how reliable can you get with a BMW in the first place? But that's why I wanted to go Chevy, because I wanted something that you throw an exhaust on and that's all you need to do. I mean, especially if you go a Z06 or a ZL1, you got that supercharger, you got all that power. All you got to do is an exhaust and you're good.
Well, one thing that GM does a good job at, especially the performance ends of it, like Corvette, Camaro, they pay a lot of attention to the aftermarket, because you look at what they've done with these late model Corvettes, Camaros, and then you flash back 10 years, the stuff that everyone was spending money on for the aftermarket is there. Like, to me, the C6, Z06, I had to do an exhaust on that, right? It has the proper big exhaust. But the C7, first time I heard that, I'm like, holy crap, like, this thing sounds great. Like, I don't need to do anything to it, and performance-wise, it was great. So it hurts the aftermarket, don't get me wrong, but I do think it proves they pay a lot of attention to what people are doing to the cars, that's for sure.
To a point, but also with, I mean, you have people, there's so much aftermarket stuff for Chevys, like, you can plug and play at that point, like, so much. And that was the thing, too, with, like, getting a ZL1 or a Z06 is the active exhaust they have on that is just amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So on the opposite note there, Dan, saying that GM has all these, plug and play bits and parts. So I've got a question in my chat box over here from ZL1 Power 69. What are everyone's thoughts on Rob Dahm buying the Rec C8 and doing a rotary swap to it?
2 thumbs up for me. Rotaries are amazing, and I think that's cool as hell.
And there was another question too, E-Vapors. You had a question on your chat, and I have a question on my chat as well.
Yeah, I just dropped it in the thing. Okay, was that about a 3? Oh, no. Would you pay extra for the museum delivery and tour?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, so Tony, when you get your C8, is that the plan to go to the museum, pick up, do the whole tour and video and all that stuff?
That's the plan. That was actually my plan for the C7. However, when I was literally buying the car, the dealer said, hold on a second. We have this car that someone spec'd out and ordered and backed out of. We could make you a great deal on it. You want to take a look? I took a look. I was like, oh, this is like, I love this car. So I sacrificed the museum delivery for it, but I still would love to do that. I plan to do that on next.
Hey, that's good stuff, man.
You made that a whole road trip, Tony?
Yeah, I'd make it a road trip. Yeah.
I've driven down there. It's a long drive, but it's a beautiful country. And I have a question in my chat here too. Bimmer Vlogs. He says, I drive a C7 Z06 and it never got traction. Do you think this is common, or do you think I need better tires?
Well, they make so much torque. You need good tires. I mean, I have the Sport Cup 2s on mine, which are, if you warm weather, get them warm, they'll get traction. Cold weather, wet weather, forget it. But in terms of, if you can get them warmed up, you need something like that. Otherwise, yeah, you'll just spin it.
And
Sport Cup 2s, they're not cheap, Tony. Sport Cup 2s, baby. Come on now. You said it real humble. Like, yeah, I got the Sport Cup 2s, man. Just a little TireRack.com tires. No, you don't. You got Sport Cup 2s, baby.
They're not. For how long they last, they're expensive. Yeah. I mean, they're actually cheaper than other ones, but they don't last long. That's why they're expensive now.
Guys, I just wanted to let you know you ain't had to be humble with it, man. You say, hey, man, I got to be Sport Cup 2. It's okay to flaunt a little bit in here, man. We all friends in here.
Yeah.
Huracan.
Now, one of the things, I don't know if they do it for the Z06s, but I know on the 01, they almost have like an active, I saw it on Faster Proms channel, they have like an active, it's kind of like boost by gear for a turbo, but almost for the supercharger. It's like some like little valve or something. Did they have that in the Z06, or am I just like crazy?
I don't know if they have it in both. I haven't heard about it. No.
Okay. I'd have to look into it. I'll send you something on it, but I thought that was interesting because just kind of keep grip.
And I had I had one suggestion in my feed, real quick. Soto, it says you should
I see it.
do
I see it.
a pink carbon fiber roof.
I'd help. I'd help you.
All right.
I think Duramax Country Boy has something for pink.
No. If this video gets 10 likes,
10 likes.
if this
Wow.
gets
All right,
10
I'll
likes,
get busy,
we will put pink on Soto's roof,
I
and
will make sure it happens because I'm helping Rabbit.
and not his car's roof, on his house's roof.
Oh.
I think, guys, let's take it like on a serious note. We can maybe call up Premier Financial, but we're getting into May, and October's coming up. October's a little bit away. October Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You know, I think we should come up with some kind of, you know, whether it's a challenge, a fundraiser, or something. Hey guys, if we hit $500 to this whatever charity, you know, Soda's roof is going pink, and Pat's roof is going pink.
No, her grill's going pink.
We'll make her grill pink with all the leftover vinyl.
You know what? I'll do pink for breast cancer awareness.
You could do a big pink, like the ribbon on the roof. That would be cool.
Yeah, I have the knifeless tape.
We did
Same.
a huge one years ago. We raised enough money years ago to spray my buddy's Volvo bright Barbie pink and classy it front to back. And we found a shop that donated all the labor and all the supplies.
Wow.
Yeah.
They make pink carbon fiber.
They do. Well,
Yeah.
so there's multiple options. You have like a pink and black,
Oh,
Or-
that is carbon fiber. Oh my god.
or you can do a straight like carbon fiber, just a wrap. That's just straight pink.
It's like light pink and dark
Yeah.
pink. That actually looks pretty neat.
So I mean, you got options.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. I'll fix it.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
I broke the camera.
Does anybody else have any other questions that showed up? Yep, Marilyn Spotter says hi. Hopes everybody's staying safe.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions in their chat?
We just had the one in mind. Dan briefly touched on it. I'd like to see what Tony says as the vet guy in the group, but also everybody else if we don't mind. Thoughts on the 4-rotor and the new C8 build?
Oh, sorry. What's the question? Is it in the chat?
It is, what are the thoughts on Rob Dahm buying that wrecked C8 and doing the rotary swap that he's planning?
That just makes me afraid.
Yeah. You put a rotary in anything.
So I myself, I'm less, knowing how big Dom is in the rotary world, I know he's going to do it. I know it's going to put down a lot of stupid power. I'm really more interested in the overall build to see what it looks like in terms of the electronic parts.
Yes,
In his, he did a live for VinWiki, shameless plug, Premier Financial, second shameless plug, and his plan is he wants to be able to take that car to any GM dealership and have them run the OBD2 on it and not pull any codes. So he has to manipulate the entire computer system. So I'm fascinated in the engineering and electrical behind it. Now, like Pat said, you can put a rotary into anything, so like it's not overly challenging mechanically. It's the software that's going to be exciting.
I think also mating up I think he was talking about keeping the stock gearbox too.
Yeah, he wants to keep the Tremec transmission.
That would be tricky. But I think it would be cool because it almost gives you, I know they're different, but it almost gives you kind of a little like sneak peek of what the CO6 is going to be like with that flat crank, the flat crank, because you can rev it higher, it has those sounds, and who doesn't like a rotary spitting flames and, revving to that fast and all that. And I think it would make it the C8, it would make that C8 like the ultimate exotic.
Well, the other benefit there is that means that he's going to bring that car to Corvettes at Carlisle, and then we can keep rocking on without having to go to Detroit.
Yeah.
But interesting. So this car, I mean, it'd be fascinating to see how he engineers it, but it sounds like it's going to be a one of one, kind of car. Right? It's not like you can, people are going to send their C8s to him to get it.
Well, he also has his own custom four-rotor build that it's not nothing that he does is cost-effective for mass production.
Not at all.
Yeah, we got another question for Tony. I'm sure it's probably more of a ballpark question. What's the average price of the Z06 for 2021? I'm assuming, without extra, pick this, pick that, what is that baseline Z06 pricing for the 2021 C8?
Yeah, so with the Stingray starting at, let's just call it 60, I expect that the Z06 will probably start at 79.9, call it 80. That'll be the probably starting sticker price. Realistically, just like with the base C8, what are people going to be paying for them? Probably close to 100. But I think if you waited out the first bubble, if you did want a bare minimum spec C8 Z06, I'd be surprised if you couldn't get one for around 80, just knowing the way Corvette's approached this in the past.
Would they have a Z07 package? That's what it was called, right? The Z07 package.
Yeah, the Z07 package on the 7th gen was carbon ceramic brakes, enhanced aero and stuff. I'm sure they'll have all that and more for the C8 if you look at what they did with the Stingray. It's amazing the amount of customization you can do on them now.
Man, when you get into
just added that, Tony. What was that, Vapors?
I was just kind of finishing what Tony was saying about the pricing on the Z06 or the Z07. When you start getting into 100,000, because I love the C8, right? I mean, I love the C7, honestly. And I was prepared to get one. I was doing my normal YouTube research, and I came across the i8 video, and the rest is history. They're not the same cars for what you expect from them, but they're individually great cars. So, with that being said, anytime I start building the C8s and different things, and the stuff that I like, I say, okay, I'm not gonna look at the price. I'm gonna click. I'm always in the 100. So when I get into the 100s, now I gotta go to supercar now. Not that the C8 is not a supercar. I gotta go to the traditional supercars. I can get me a used Lambo for 100 something. So that's kind of my mindset right now, looking at these Huracans, 2016, 17, around 170, 160 ish. For the 610-4, but it's like at the same time I love that C8. But if I get into the 100,000 range, I'm going all in. I'm going to Vegas and I'm betting on black. Everything I got, mortgage and everything, house, cars, everything bet on black.
Believe it or not, I 100% agree with you. That's one reason I've never gone to ZR1. Right? And I love Corvettes, but once you start getting into the 120s, 130s, I'm thinking, for the average person, it's still a Corvette I'm talking about. So if I love
the problem. The difference that you come into, and it's the, do you love the car? Do you love what the car stands for and looks like? Or is it about the dollar spend and what you're getting out of it? So you can drop, when the ZR1 first came out in recent years, you're at like 125 all in for a new high performance car, or you're buying a 5+ year old supercar that's going to come with the maintenance, issues. And not all of us are Pat with the air jack that know how to build it up for ourselves. And that's where I come from it. So if I had 100 large to spend on something, I would probably be, veering towards the Corvette world, knowing that I've got 3 years of factory qualified maintenance and warranty, as opposed to buying a couple-year-old Huracan that might not be the best, might have seen some water damage, go down to that Ed Bolian territory. But what kind of problems is it? Unless you're comfortable and know that it's going to work for you, I don't know.
I have an answer to that
real
question.
quick, just to add into what Tony was saying with those numbers, if you were to be one of the guys that wants to buy a base entry-level Z06, like, you're already too late on your money, because the people are either going to build it that already have their allocations in, or the dealership is going to build it as, every button clicked like E-Vapors does to make it that top of the line. And you're not going to find a junior Z06 on top.
Not in the first year. No way. Yeah, you'd have to be a year out before you'll be able to get them at the absolute base. I agree.
And even then, they might not even build one that doesn't have like the pre-selected first year packages. In the event that someone puts the down payment, gets the car rolling, oh, my house just took a dump, I can't afford this car anymore, and now the dealership is stuck on a car that doesn't fit a lot of the demand, they might not even let you build a not top-of-the-line Z06. I still want to hurry on, though. I'm with you.
That's what happened with the C7 as well. I mean, you couldn't find the 1LT, like, base Z06 for a few years.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, before you go too far, I want to add on to what you were saying about buying the Lamborghini supercar at 100, a couple years old, and warranties and maintenance and all that stuff. So to answer that question first, I've done thorough research, right, on these myths of how much maintenance is on supercars. So I went straight to the experts, the people that sell Lamborghinis. And there's some great videos out there. It's a lady in Canada who sells Lamborghinis. I can't think of her name right now, but they put together.
Heather Valentine.
There you go, Heather Valentine. She's so thorough with her knowledge of the Lamborghini, and I saw a series of videos of her and some other folks that showed how much the maintenance was, and they were literally myths. They were not like these crazy, exorbitant numbers like you would find on probably the crazy car that's like $3 million.
Koenigsegg?
Bugatti. No, the Bugatti. Yeah. So it's not like Bugatti, to where you got to spend $10,000 on tires.
Right.
Now, and the person that is buying the car, I'm gonna speak for me. The person that's buying $100,000 car, that shouldn't be an issue. If it's an issue, you shouldn't be buying a $100,000 car, Lambo or Corvette, because the factory is not gonna save you. Yeah, they know how to put cars together to stay together under the factory warranty time frame. So if you're buying a $100,000 car, at least for me, I'm already prepared for the cost. I count the cost before I make any type of move. So if I'm buying a $100,000 car like this one was $150, but it's the same maintenance that it was at $150, regardless of the depreciation. So I'm already prepared to take it in, and BMW say, oh, that'll be $800. Okay, here you go. So when you buy $100,000 cars, you don't ever buy a car $100,000, $20,000, $10,000 without counting the cost ahead of time. But there are a lot of myths about the cost of maintenance on older Lamborghinis and whatnot. But I'm prepared, and I'm preparing myself even more to handle whatever those costs are, whether it be $800, $1,000, $2,000. You just gotta always buy within the range of things that you can afford. That makes sense.
My thought there is my echo's back.
Oh yeah, you're stuttering a lot too. You got some delay.
It's not me not being able to afford the maintenance. It's more so whoever owned the car before me and didn't do that proper maintenance, and then I got to come in behind and play catch up. And that's when you're going to find a lot of the expensive stuff.
Hey, it ain't tricking if you got it.
That's all
I'm just saying, like, I can't worry myself to death about how much it's gonna cost. Everybody has certified BMW, certified Lamborghini, certified this, certified that. So I'm believing to go down that path and find a great certified Lamborghini 2016, 17, and make it happen. And it's through Premier Financial Services, of course.
No, I have another point.
Oh, go ahead, Pat, and jump in.
They can certify anything they want, even though it may not pass what the manufacturer considers as certified. And because I've seen it firsthand, just so you know. Anytime a dealer slaps, this is certified on the car, They give you a checklist and show you all the things that they looked at. But if you look at that same car in person and you climb under it, like I did when I saw an i8 that was certified, and I saw body panels hanging down, and then, there were a bunch of things going on with that car. And then I sat down with the people and I said, do you want to take it for a ride? I'm like, no, I don't want to waste any more time with it. I drove 2 hours to Philly to look at this car. It's supposed to be certified pre-owned.
It's always Philly.
And it looks like crap. What's going on? Well, we're sorry we didn't have it standing tall for you. I said, that's not what the point is. It's supposed to be a certified pre-owned car. It's supposed to meet specific standards. In fact, with my car, the one that I bought, you're supposed to have a minimum of 5 millimeters of tread depth. 2 of those tires had 4 millimeters because I brought a tread depth gauge with me. And I said, these don't, I said,
I did it.
these do not pass CPO required tire depth. And they knocked some money off of it. I mean, I knew I was already going to go with different tires anyway, but they knocked a couple $100 off the car simply because they screwed up. So they will certify anything. Don't trust that. That's all I got to say. Don't trust it.
Yeah.
Go into it with a grain of salt.
1 millimeter.
Yeah, well, by
I know
1
who's
millimeter,
gonna-
they were
when I
wrong. They
buy my
couldn't.
Lamborghini, I know who's gonna ride with me to the dealership. I
No.
know that.
What you need to do, obviously, this is what I'm going to do from now on. I'm not going to buy a car unless Pat buys it first. Because then I have my certified mechanic at all times, to make videos on it.
I'm a YouTube certified mechanic.
I want Sean / Shane to buy it first.
That's true.
There you go.
You gotta have Pat do your PTI, PDI, whatever they call it.
PPI.
Yeah, it's a pre-purchase inspection. But
Pre-delivery.
pre-delivery, but pre-purchase inspection, I'd be the guy for that, I guess.
Yeah. I did the same thing, Pat. Because BMWs with their run flaps, I think it ends up being like $2,000 just to replace 4 tires.
Right. For
So
the
I did
i8.
the same thing, and I got $2,000 off my car.
Yeah, and with the i8 they don't come with run flats, which is nice, at least in the States. In Europe they may. Tony, you had a question?
Oh,
I
sorry.
was just going to say, and I agree with Derek, there are a lot of myths out there and horror stories about maintenance on some of these exotics, but there is one factor that I think is just pure economics, and it's the production volumes. I mean, I think one thing when you look at Corvettes or Hellcats, things that are built in larger volumes, there's just more parts out there. So if you do have an issue, you're going to be able to find stuff, and it won't be as expensive. A big part of why exotics are so hard to maintain, so expensive, is just because there weren't a lot of them made in the first place, and there's not a lot of parts availability, so you end up getting killed on that. But again, it's all economics. I do agree with you, Eric. Once you get into that 100+ range, you have to really factor in how well this stuff's going to hold value and et cetera. And hey, I love Corvettes, but let's be honest, they make so many of them that over time, those values are going to continue to go down. Whereas in much more limited production run cars, they're going to hold steadier. So you really have to, and that's one reason I've only been willing to go so high on something called the Corvette for those reasons.
Yeah, and that $100,000 Corvette, that $100,000 red eye wide body. I just can't put $100,000 into a car that looks just like any other car that you see down the road. Yes, we know Hellcat badge, the Demon badge. Yes, we know that. And I'm not buying cars for other people's sake. No, I'm not. But for me, when I look outside, I see a Dodge Challenger.
Yeah.
I see a Corvette. And to me, a Corvette is that $60, $70, $80,000 range. And in my mind, the light switch doesn't turn on at 100 until we're talking about a supercar. Maybe a 911. Something that's a supercar. Now we're talking 6 figures. At least just in my mind, I would feel more comfortable driving a 6-figure supercar. I know it's 6 figures. You know it's 6 figures. Everybody at the bank knows it's 6 figures. Everybody at McDonald's, when I go through the drive-thru, they know that is a bad car. But if I come up with $100,000 wide-eye red-eye Hellcat,
That happened the other day. I was driving with my dad, and a Demon passed, and I knew exactly what it was, and I was flipping out, and he's like, was that a 4-cylinder Charger? or calendar. I'm like, no, he's got a point. It wasn't, but I mean, it's the same thing. Yeah, and then you have these people who buy like a V6 Mustang or like there was a guy in a V6 Camaro in front of me, and he was trying to hang with this
Bro.
Z06 and then my car.
And a former Camaro guy, I hate V6 Camaro.
Same. And I'm not even a former one.
It's like an imposter. It's like somebody that comes to a military retirement ceremony in uniform and they never served. It's an imposter. What is he doing here with the uniform on? When I see that V6 Camaro, and I'm just like, it's not the same. Because my mom was quick to say, oh, he has the same car as you. Mom, no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He does not have this V8. No, and she don't understand that. And that's kind of, maybe I am worried about what other people think. I don't know. I don't want to spend $100,000 on a standard car.
Same thing.
That's the valid concern. Years ago, in 99, my uncle bought a Trans Am WS6. That was big bore, blah blah blah, same motor as the Corvette, the whole soup to nuts, big foot scoop, big wing, blah 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 blah. But like you're saying, unless you knew, okay, that looks like the Camaro down the block, the Firebird down the block, nobody cared. And yet it was in '99, it was another $15,000 for that pack. It wasn't just like a quick easy spin. So
Sometimes a picture is
part
worth
of the issue
1,000
too. You look
words.
at Dan's car. You look at Dan's car, and people say, "Oh, Dan's got an i8," and then it's like, "Oh no, it's just a 3 Series."
Well, I mean, that happens all the time. I had a friend of mine. He's like, "Oh yeah, you should check out my other friend. He got the same car as you." I look, it's a 320i, which is a little 4-cylinder detuned. I think it has a turbo. I don't know. And then I have my tuned 335, 0 to 60, 3.86 seconds. I'm like, okay.
Like, okay, all right.
Well,
Yeah, look at
two things.
let's pin Tony up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see
Sometimes a
what
picture
Tony.
is worth 1,000 words. So I get how much the cars cost, but
Yeah.
if you look at how they perform, in Willow Springs, you had to go up to the $1 million Porsche 918 to beat the Z06 Auto with the Z07, and then you see where the Huracans and things fall below that. And again, that to me has been the thing that always, attracted me to what Chevy can do there, because you can spend a fraction of the money. But I get you guys' other points. When you're on the road, people still see it just the way Eric does. You're talking 80,000, 90,000, right? Corvette. Only true car fanatics are going to care about that picture I got on.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Thank you for dropping that picture, bro. Like that kind of gave a visualization to some of my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Like, because even when I heard the track time of the Huracan versus the Aventador, and it's mainly dealing with, weight and different things like that. I mean, who cares about the milliseconds between the Huracan and the Aventador? But yeah, those are super cars on that screen that you have right there. Those are super cars.
So while we have that screen up, I think we should all go through the round table, looking at those cars. Doesn't matter what it's costing you. If you got to pick one car on that list, what car are you taking home? Eric, go.
Aventador.
Okay.
Does that say 650S?
How you gotta see it?
I made it big. I made it full size.
Is that 650S Spider for the McLaren?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of between. And is that an AMG GTR or GTS?
It's an S.
It's a GTS.
Okay, then I would probably go 650 Spider. Although the 918,
I mean, come on, guys. Even I would go to
1040.
918. I'm not crazy.
Yeah, what other? I'd probably go 918, I guess.
Pat, what are you picking?
Honestly, I think I'd pick the 911 Turbo S for two reasons. First, I've only ever heard good things about them, and I want to experience it. But second, the car's a little bit slower, so I know that I don't have to worry about losing control and then losing a lot of money.
Becca.
Well, you picked the one I was gonna pick.
Really?
Yeah, I was gonna.
What's
pick
your
the
reason?
Turbo S. I mean, you can do a lot with it. Like, look at what Randy's done with his, and like that thing is the fastest car out of all his cars. Like, hands down, that Turbo S is the fastest thing he has, and he said that. And it's a good bit cheaper to make it that way compared to some of the other cars. So
that car felt like it pushed my organs into my spine. from a dig, and I've never felt that in a car before.
It's so fun. I love that car.
Okay.
Fran could work on it too for you, Pat.
Who was?
I was gonna say the 918, and I think it's an incredibly gorgeous car, and I think they're quick. But again, hearing the thought process that me myself am I comfortable with the speeds, I would have to go with the GTR Nismo. There's a lot of build out. They sound good. They're comfortable. They do everything they're supposed to do, and it's still at a respectable price point.
Yeah, the scary thing about the 918 Spider is from what I've seen, or the 918, from what I've seen, the clutch, it just, yeah, you can't get used to it.
No, that's
Never driven one.
that's the Carrera GT.
Oh, yeah, my bad. But, wait, so that one didn't come in a manual? The 918?
No, the 918 is a strictly automatic car.
Oh, I got to mix up, my bad.
But I have two comments I want to make. Dan, sorry, I quickly like talked over you last time when you were talking about getting a deal on the, saving $2,000 in the run flats. That's smart. If your tires are worn out, you definitely want to.
Yeah, the biggest thing for buying BMW is that's your bargaining chip. If
Yeah.
the tires are even show a little wear, everyone knows they're expensive. I didn't put run flats on. I instantly went and got I got Michelin's, non-run flats for $200 a tire. But you can chip that price down. I mean, same
Right.
thing. I had an oil leak, and I told them, I'm like, this is going to cost $1,000 at the dealership to fix. I fixed it for $50.
Right, exactly.
But
And my second thing was a question on my chat was, Soto, do you have any mods coming for the Mercedes?
Evan's been talking about doing some things. I mean, it's his car, so he's got to take a sawzall to his mufflers. His first.
it's going to sound nice.
And
600.
yeah, he's looking at a ECU, a modded ECU, since you can't do not like the BMWs, we have Beamer code or boot mod. You need to buy a whole new ECU. So he was looking at one of those. But he did have an intake. He took it out and went back to the factory.
What?
Yeah.
Did it throw a code?
No.
Oh.
He said it performed better.
Sometimes that's true.
That's the thing with my car. With the stock intake, it actually performs better because it gets colder air. But you can't beat the sound of your turbo, your blow off and all that, through the intake. Can't beat it.
He's more concerned about cosmetics right now. He wants to get a new front bumper and cosmetic stuff he's looking at right now.
That's next for me.
And I also want to
Is
just.
he funding a lot of that there, Toto?
What's that?
Is he funding his build out?
How the YouTube views are.
No, he's funding it. He works and whatever he can do, whatever he can afford, he pays for it.
I want to say a big thank you. Got the Stick I 8 plate. I know that Soto's got he's got his website there. He's
the thick store.
Yeah, he's got the thick store. I know other people have merch and stuff like that too, but yeah, I got the thick plate now. So I accidentally had this on the car too long and almost drove off with it.
Are you speaking of which, Soto? Are you going through like a third party who's making them and shipping them, or do you have this physical stock that you're shipping out to people?
No, I have a buddy of mine who makes them that I buy.
But you're still dealing with like the shipping and all that.
Yeah, he'll ship them to me and then I'll ship them out.
Does he work? Is he imprisoned? How is he pressing these plates?
No, he has his own shop, his own website. He sells on Amazon too.
Yeah, every Friday he goes to the under the fence and they slip him under the prison fence.
They're nice quality, aren't they, Pat?
They are very nice, and the nice thing about it, I mean, it's not like the normal plate where you have like the ridge or anything like that. It's perfectly flat. So this is terrific. You can't mistake it from a regular plate. But at the same time, if you look at it straight on, it even looks like it has the ridge around the outside, where the Maryland plate would be. It looks like it has it, even though it's perfectly flat. So this is a display plate, and you don't accidentally throw this on your car.
But I'm sure if you're going down the road, nobody would probably notice. So
I could always.
If you're ever trying to evade the Mexican police, quick pull over, throw on your thick plates.
It's not me. It's Soto.
Yeah, it's Soto. He has a problem. He just can't stop racing.
Go ahead, Tony.
To mass produce like those old Knight Rider things where it like will flip.
Yep.
Amazon. Amazon.
Mythbuster tries
I mean,
doing it.
I'm not looking for them. Can he
No,
do PA plates, Toto?
Come
What's that?
Can he do Pennsylvania plates?
You haven't do any state.
here. No.
Might have a
Life
couple
of
of boys in
Just got
Pennsylvania.
some Nevada ones.
Hey, I've seen them. Hey, you know they sell those, right? Where you can hide your plate, it'll come down and go back up.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
Dude,
they
stop
sell
telling
them.
people. We're on live right now.
Nah, they
Allegedly they sell them.
no, they sell them for car shows. They
Okay.
sell them for car shows, so you can have a car show clean look without your plate.
They're off-road and racing use only.
Yeah, it's for car show clean look.
Has anybody ever seen this channel?
I have, and I have some words.
Life of Apollos. So that's gonna be my new channel. All I'm gonna do is talk about Life Apollos in my new channel called Life of Apollos.
What are you gonna
It still
talk
amazes
about?
me that his model, that model works. I mean,
It
but
works.
appears to be working.
It worked. Okay. We're gonna get a little bit into this.
Video.
It worked because like I don't have the time to watch through everyone, but you can kind of tell whose payroll he's on. So that's all the stuff you see. It's like, yeah.
Durmax Country Boy said Atomic Z06. Love the mural under the hood. I was gonna ask you to show it, and that's what he's got up there as his background now.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah.
And
I have
that's
a question for everyone.
Is that a real airbrush, Tony?
It is. Right.
Any idea how many hours that took?
I know it took a lot. I've had a few of them done by the guy who does them, Airbrush Incorporated. That one was by far the most ambitious project he did for me. And he's really talented though, but that's a lot of airbrush.
Are they out of Howard County too?
No, he's out of Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I have a
How does
question.
that work? You send the hood, you send the cover?
He does so many Corvettes, he actually stocks the underhood liners, and he has custom cases. So you order one from him, he'll send you your underhood liner in a case with a FedEx label that you just rip off, boom, send the case back to him. He's got a whole system.
Wow.
All right, so I was doing some browsing on Car Gurus the other night, and I came to the realization that I bought my car a year too soon, and I have lost. Even if I didn't drive the car, I would have lost $4,000 because of this Corona stuff. So, has anyone? Do you know how much your car is depreciated? My car right now, I bought it at $20,000. It's now worth about. It's hard to tell because in the United States, there's no Alpine White with the coral red interior at the moment. So I think it's worth about like 16.
I've lost more than what your car cost new, or what your car cost you originally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, originally my car was 63.
I won.
What?
I'm gonna go last because I win.
Okay.
I think that the value of mine actually went up because C8 production stopped.
Yep.
So, hey Tony, that's what I'm on right now because most of us that know I8s that brand new this is 150 and 5 years later they're going around under warranty with 20-some thousand miles about 75,000, so it's about a 50% hit. But now they stopped making the I8. So one or two things is gonna happen. It's gonna probably stall or go up. They stop making the I8. So you may have a collector at this point, a collector's type car.
Yeah, I'm not talking from new because I mean mine new. If BMWs depreciate, mine new was 63K. I bought it for 20. I'm talking when you bought the car versus what it's worth now. So.
Oh, well, I mean, it's still relatively around the same value right now. I look online and I don't see much difference now than when I bought it a year ago. I bought it used, so it's about the same. But I think I'm going to keep it. I say that. I mean, I just feel a connection to it. But I could as soon as I pull up at the Lamborghini dealership or whatever dealership, I'd make a decision to sell it. But I mean, I plan on keeping it right now. But if it's too much hassle to have the I8 and another car, supercar, then I'll just sell it only for that reason.
Another Another comment from the chat. Dr. M3 says, just hang tight. Lots of great inventory will be coming onto market in the next few months. The car market is extremely soft and will get worse. And this is true. And only the dealers that don't care, and at this point, in my opinion, those that if you walk into the dealership and it looks like a mansion, like a castle, like royalty was there, obviously they got too much money. And they're probably not going to budge on prices. But there are some good deals out there. We just have to be patient. And Maryland Spotter says he knows of 2 Koenigs that's coming to Maryland. Okay, that's interesting. And Duramax Country Boy said, I paid almost 40 grand, and now they say my truck's worth around 23. And we talked to somebody today who said that they took their car to...
You talked to somebody. I didn't talk to nobody.
Oh, took the car to CarMax before coronavirus, and they offered him like 20 grand as if they'd buy it off him, and then he took it back and said, hey, this was my offer before, and they're like, no, it's like 14. So they've already, the wholesale prices have gone down, but we're still waiting on retail. And yeah, thanks Dr. M3, really appreciate you coming in here and joining the chat.
When are you gonna get on with us? That is my question.
He's probably a busy man, but he's always welcome as a guest here.
On that note there, Pat, I bought my car in 2013 with 73,000 miles on it. With the extended warranty, I paid either $17,500 or $18,500. And at 230,000 miles and many years of dearly loving service, Kelly Blue Book has me at $1,100.
Oh, wow.
Well, but wait, what's the? It might have depreciated the most, but you have to go by year depreciation. You know what I mean? Like think about that, because wait, how long have you had it?
And on mileage,
yeah.
You could probably take all the cars in the mix right now, and I'm probably still at more mileage than the family. So.
Yep, Dr. M3 says he just got back from a full day out, so he's just happy to hang out and chill with us. So yep, thanks for joining. And yeah, that's true. I mean, the mileage in any car, once you hit a certain mileage, the desire for the car goes way down. So it's like, even if it was a 2-year-old car with 230,000 miles on it, you might...
Yeah, well, that would be a bigger depreciation because of the amount of time versus depreciation. You know what I mean? Like, you can't say, oh, I had the car, I bought it for $10,000, it's worth $1,000, but it was 15 years, because that's not a big depreciation per year.
The best, in my opinion, the best deal, you buy a 15-year-old Corvette, it's going to go up in value. 15 years is like the sweet spot for Corvettes. So if you want to get a car that appreciates, go
2005.
Go out and get yourself a when did they make a ZR1 in 2005? No.
No.
What year was it?
They skipped the C5 ZR1, so they didn't have one since the end of the C4. There was no C5 ZR1.
That's right. And I saw a ZR1 here in Maryland that's a C4, and they got a heck of a deal on it. It was at Maryland Spotters show. Yeah.
By the way, Dr. M3, I'm glad to see him. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. He did a great April Fool's video, which I didn't know was an April Fool's video. He said he was trading his Huracan Performante for a C8 because it was so great. He drove it into the dealership, all this stuff, and I'm like, he's going to do it. He's like, no. I have to admit, he had me on that.
I was just looking forward to that Performante to be on the market. That's a sharp effect on that Performante.
Yes.
Did you answer Thick for the question? Sorry, because I know that BMWs depreciate about the depreciation.
I think mine's around I don't know, 60,000. Mine's an autographed edition. It's got the thick autograph on it.
Okay, so that makes it probably like 120 grand.
Probably.
Yeah.
How much?
That's more valuable than an Alpina.
Around the same as 18,000, which is.
Here's the thing, guys. I mean, it's all. Mileage has an impact, sure, but the biggest thing that contributes to cars' depreciation is how many of them were made, right? And that's why when you look at things like Ford GTs and other things, they just don't make a lot of them so they're only going to depreciate a certain amount. The Corvettes, for example, they make a ton of, right? BMWs, they make a ton of. I-8 might be a different story, but
there's
so many cars out there. I mean, they're just going to continue to tank because there's.
And to add on top of that, Tony, Rob Ferretti just did a video talking about like the brake calipers for his SLS McLaren. New they're 20 grand, but unless you have an SLS McLaren and you need brake calipers or brake rotors for it, they have no value for them. So you take that flooded market and you take okay, does somebody want what I have? Then what's it worth? So those two factors really.
Hey, let me add to that whole depreciation thing real quick, just while it's sitting in my head.
That's funny.
I've never traded a car in. I've never traded a car in. I've been buying cars since I joined the military in 1992. I would buy a car, pay it off, keep it, give it away. Buy another car, keep it.
I'll take the i8.
No, I'm just saying, like, I just never been into, like, I was always afraid to be upside down and trade cars in. I would buy a car and just keep it. And like my 350Z, I got in a car accident. That's the only reason that I don't have that. And then my Camaro, I kept it while I had my i8. And I told y'all my driveway is too small, so I ended up, selling that for $5,000 to my dad just to move it out the driveway. So when I buy a car, I'm almost really not concerned with depreciation because my life story is buying cars and keeping them. So I don't really, have too much concern about the depreciation.
And that's valid. Yeah, if you're never going to be subjected to the market value of it, enjoy it.
Right. And I would never recommend trading in a car to anyone.
No.
I mean, you try to sell it out.
Bro.
Personal by owner, don't ever trade it in.
Yeah.
Sell it straight out.
Let me
Craigslist.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000% because I think I might have told y'all we had bought a 2019 4Runner and paid cash for it. Right? Got a great deal on it. But we got the Lexus 6 months later, and we still took a $5,000 hit on the value of what we bought it for and what the Lexus dealership gave us for. We lost $5,000 in that. In 6 months time frame, it lost $5,000 in value when we drove off the lot.
My Escalade that we still have it. We're gonna sell it, but I'm just keeping it because it's paid off and we don't need to sell it. And it's good because it's bigger than the Range Rover. It fits us better. But the dealership, I took it to CarMax. They were going to give us $7,000 for it. And I saw online the mileage, same on Kelly Blue Book, same mileage, same condition. Dealerships are selling for $16,000, $17,000.
Yeah, they were gonna get you.
I mean, if I could sell it straight out for even $15,000, why should I trade it in?
Yeah. CarMax and CarSense and all them, they always rip you off.
Taxes is the only reason,
yes.
I guess.
And that's actually what my dad did. He had a Toyota Highlander, which was great, but it wasn't big enough for the big work trips, and it got not good enough mileage. So what he did is he traded that in and then bought a Chevy Suburban and a Lexus, some little car that gets good mileage at the same time. And it was actually more efficient to do that. Yes, the car was a couple thousand cheaper, but with the taxes stuff, it really helped out.
Well, and the other way around that one, Tony, is like if you know that you want to unload your vet and you want to sell it to me, you can sometimes do a courtesy trade at the dealership where you get to funnel that tax credit through. And a lot of people don't realize that there's magic like that you can manipulate the numbers in a fully legal way. You get the benefit of a wholesale value customer to customer for the car, and you get the tax, and I get the great price on my buy, and you get a good price on your buy. And
you just have to have a cool dealer.
Or a Maryland or a Montana plate.
For a what? Would you say, Pat?
Or a Montana plate.
Even Montana plates are getting dicey though. They're starting to crack down on that too.
I need a thick I-8 in a Montana plate.
That can happen.
Pat, you have me thinking, how much shorter is Randy's car than yours?
So a lot. So I did have a picture. I did want to share it because I took it straight on. Let me just pull it up real quick. It's easier if I step out of the photo. Yeah, it is a lot shorter because it's only 41 inches tall. I think, yeah, here it is. It was a close-up.
Cars, the only world where it's better to be shorter.
And flying internationally.
But let's now
Yeah.
put this into perspective. Randy is not a small person.
No, but the car itself does. Here we go. I'll sit there in the middle. The car itself, of course, it sits really low as it is. So when you sit in it, you're pretty much sitting on the floor with your legs straight out. Now, Rebecca can tell you more about it. She just stepped away. She actually got in it today. So we were at we were at this event, and of course Randy shows up in that, and he's like, okay, we're all gonna go to a like a restaurant where they have an outdoor window where we could buy food, and and Rebecca said, "Can I ride with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, hop in." And it was like, this is crazy. She's hopping in a GT and getting her first ride. She pulled a Jeff Rosenberg.
That video you sent us, she looked like a giant when she came out of the car.
You have to just ask. If you ask Randy for a ride and the timing is right, he'll put you in the passenger seat.
Yep.
My question is, how does drive-through work in a Ford GT?
How does
You have
what?
to have grabbers to get the food from the window?
Don't try it.
What?
If you're going through drive-through, you need like
Oh.
grabbers to like reach up.
Oh, yeah, I already have a problem in the i8. Even if I decide to go to like an ATM, forget it. It's like, and you can't just pull up to the ATM and open the door a little bit because your door's going like this. You open it into the ATM. So, yeah, it's impossible. It really is an
Hey,
impossible
Pat, I have
thing.
a quick question on the GT.
Yes.
Does anyone know, do you know, like, legitimately, did he think he had street speed 717 in that or not?
He doesn't
I kind
know.
of thought he did.
See, he does not like, Randy doesn't like Corvettes. So
I know that.
So it's like he really he's just throwing everything he can. I mean, the next thing's going to be the Koenigsegg, and the ZR1's going to walk all over that too. So it's like you have a 15-year-old Koenigsegg, and it's going to get beat by a ZR1. I don't want that on national television.
He thought he had it, didn't he? I kind of thought.
I don't know if he thought he did or he didn't. I never asked him the question, but I can always ask next time. But yeah, it's.
I thought he did.
Told Jimbo to make it look like it.
That,
Yeah, right?
I posted on Street Speed's Instagram, and I told him, I said, you need to let this man win a race for once. I mean, just put this to bed.
He's just gonna keep buying until he beats Mike.
Mike's car's now getting more added to it.
Yeah, what's the rumors on that?
I don't know. He won't say.
He'll probably have 1,000 of the week.
Probably.
Hey Pat, what was that car that your friend? It was a question that your friend took the CarMax and they tried to rip them off. What type of car was that?
I'm trying to remember who I talked to today. I can't remember, and it wasn't. It didn't surprise me because I do follow a couple of YouTube channels of like people who used to work in the car industry that will give you an idea what's going on. And I mean, they have friends and connections, and they're like, now do not try to get rid of your car right now because they're going to play this wholesale game. And Kelly Blue Book is owned by Cox Industries, which is the same people who back up a lot of these used car dealers and whatnot. So all the prices are artificially inflated anyway for retail cars, and the prices are artificially deflated for wholesale cars. So it's all a game. It's not really a good valuation of the cars, especially if you compare the United States to Europe. They seem to do a better job in Europe with the actual value of a car, and that's the i8 is even worth less over in Europe right now.
Wow.
Yeah, if you spend some time on the Facebook forum for i8, you'll see some of the European people saying, they got it for in the 40s. for 2015. So it's like, the values over here are way more inflated, and it's kind of weird. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the chat too. I haven't been keeping up with it, but I see Dan's been answering some questions over there. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks. It's all BMW questions, which is what I know. So.
Okay. Yeah, we're getting close to 11 o'clock. Usually we try to wrap it up by 11 o'clock. So yeah, if y'all want to go around the horn one more time, and you got anything else you're desperate to bring up before we close this thing out for tonight?
I'm still waiting to hear what happened with the police.
Oh, right. Okay. So, anybody who's followed my Instagram today would have seen, and it's i8.pat on my Instagram. So if you did follow my Instagram page, I went to a socially distanced Cars and Coffee outside of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. Chambersburg is one of the towns in Pennsylvania that said, we're going to keep businesses open, we're not going to fight people. It's like, so right now there's a lot of people out and about doing a lot of things. So it's not uncommon to see large crowds of people. So when we did get to the restaurant, there were some folks doing some burnouts and things, and
Specific savages.
yeah. Well, it wasn't just them. It was a bunch of different people who just show up and do a couple smoke shows. So once of course somebody in the public made a phone call, the state police showed up and parked a little bit down from there, and eventually they came over and they said, we know you guys are having fun. We did get a phone call. We don't want too much going on. Be careful. We enjoy yourselves. Maintain good distance, and we'll leave you alone. But when they saw really thick. This is the GT now. So you see, there's like people over here, and there's people there, and there's a lot of people over this way. Like, of course somebody called and say, this isn't really a safe space for this, which, it's a middle of the road. But yeah, the police had come over, and they had.
What kind of donuts he can do in such a tight space?
Yeah, that's the Ford GT.
And that he doesn't hit Jimbo.
Yeah, and they're $1,000 a piece for tires, and he's already gone through 3 sets of rear tires. So that's $6,000 in tires since he's owned the thing. But the police came by. They said, just be careful. And as everybody was leaving, of course, one of the cars, the driver of the car said he got his flip-flop stuck behind the brake while he was trying to pull out, and at the same time it sounded like an Aventador in launch control. So I don't know what the true story was. So police pulled him over. Yeah, police pulled him over, and he said he said.
See a video of that in like 3 weeks.
I hope. But yeah, he said, I'm sorry, it was my flip flop that got stuck under the brake while I was, trying to pull out, and so I had seen him later. Like, they took off and they stopped for gas. Well, I needed gas too. So when I stopped for gas, I said, what was the deal? And they said, oh yeah, cop came over and asked me about, what happened. I explained the flip-flop, and then we got into a discussion about flip-flops for about 5 minutes before they then took off up the road. Well, the police then set up like a mile and another mile away, so that on our way home, they were waiting for him to, speed by, but, nothing came about that. I went the same direction, and yeah, it was a fun day. It was a pretty fun day, and I hope i8.pat on Instagram. You can follow along and see all the fun things that happen.
And I got to ride in the Ford GT.
Yeah, she got to ride in the Ford GT. There was a question too. You sit so low in that. Is it like you're sitting on the ground?
Yeah, yes and no. Like, for me, I'm short, so pretty much all of the cars I get in, when I sit in it, I'm like, I see this much. And Ben had been in the car. I know my shirt's got it as well. Ben's very, very tall. So, he's like 6'4" or something. He's a solid foot taller than me. So, and he had the seat all the way back, so I literally could just see, like, most of my view is dash. You don't realize it's that low until you go to get out. and then you're like, you go to like pick your foot up, and you're like, oh no, like you're literally that close to the ground. So.
And he has it on air ride, so as soon as you turn the car off, it goes down like 2 inches.
Yeah, but I'm going to screenshot the picture of Rebecca getting out of the car. She looks like she's.
Yeah, you just need to get a little bit lower, and you'll fit in the car. Like turn and get down a little bit lower. Yeah, a little bit more. There you go. A little bit lower.
And then I appear again. But yeah, no, it was. I'll have to send you guys videos because I took some videos of it and stuff.
Yeah.
It was.
Or you can put them on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Everybody look at Rebecca real quick. She's see-through.
I was doing that with mine.
So yeah, sorry about the yeah, there you go. So yeah, that was a police interaction day. Everybody was fine. But y'all want to go around the horn because I'm all talked out at this point.
All right. I mean, I'm going to sleep because I'm tired. I'm an old fart. I have to go to sleep.
Here you go. Oh, you can't see it. Look how tall she is.
We can see it. Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, and I'm not very tall. Like that thing, it sits so low. It doesn't feel that bad, but definitely when you go to get out, it's like, holy shit, this thing is like.
All right.
Yeah.
Want to go around?
Just got monetized.
Yeah.
Want to go around the horn?
Yeah, real quick, man. Hopefully, next week, man, I can make some progress on the rap and figure out some sort of, I can give y'all a little something. I don't know, I don't want to just keep it a secret the whole time and have one big reveal. So that's all I got, man. Looking forward to the rap, man.
I have.
All I got's home.
No, I'll go with yeah.
It's delay.
And the new computer, so I don't have to play.
I think I heard computer, no lag. Okay, good.
Phone cannon.
A phone.
New computer and a phone cannon. That's my.
Okay. Spending money.
Shut up, Pat.
Yeah, I have a leak in the basement that fixed and started again, and there's another inch of water down there. So. Yeah.
Me, I'm just doing the paint correction this week. We're just talking about this week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just the paint correction and get that front bumper looking pretty.
And Tony?
Yeah, I owe part 3 of my C7 versus C6 Z06 comparison series. And because I modified my C6 so much, I had to go to the forums and I got a bunch of inputs. I'm going to be putting that all together and coming up with the verdict on the final comparison.
Very good. Tony, thanks for coming out and being a guest this weekend. Yeah, it was
talking Chevy.
Yeah, it was good to talk Chevy, and it was good to just get a chance. I mean, you're normal. You're in here to chat a lot, and I know that you also have a lot to offer. So it's been a pleasure having you be a part of this. And I am going to, for me, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm tired of working on cars. But I think it's going to be it's been 3 weeks. 3 weeks of nothing but working on cars. But I think I have a new project right now that I'm going to be tearing apart an intake muffler. I have a salvage piece. It's an intake muffler for the i8, and I want to it's like a glass pack. So I want to take the fiberglass out of it and just make it a straight pipe tube and see if I can get any louder turbo noise out of the i8. So we'll see what happens.
You could just pump in a different soundtrack into the speakers.
Yeah, the ice cream truck sound. Anyway,
there you go.
Thank you all for joining tonight, and thank you for our audience for keeping tabs on us. We're looking forward to coming back next week, 9 o'clock Saturday night, and probably we'll go ahead and do this live stream simulcast once again. So thank you all.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you,
guys. Thanks for watching.
Stick around, Tony.
Okay.
Okay, I'm done with the live.
I'm ending mine now.
Oh, that was good for me.
What'd you do?